books. We are a publisher, and we sell books with a purpose for your professional, personal, and spiritual life. From the old masters to the new classics, our books help people transform their lives for the better. And we like to say that, you know, our books that we publish are bound for greatness, and so are the people that open those pages and digest what's inside. As Bob said, a lot of you are business owners and entrepreneurs. You are on the path, or your desire, your goal is to increase and be bound for greatness. These are also books with a purpose. Not that we're down on recreational reading at all, but these really are books that will challenge you, and books you will have to study, and books to develop you, just like anything else that entails hard work. Lastly, for those of you that are unaware, Tremendous Life Books is a purpose-driven book, or I'm sorry, purpose-driven business. And what that means, I'm going to pull this up here. For those of you that did not know, we have a portion of our sales that go to the Books for Tremendous Living Foundation. And what this is 10 different universities, missionary groups, and shelters. And these donations go to scholarships, to help people develop the leaders of tomorrow, to encourage readers, and to just really encourage and help people. And thus far, we have started this. We have had the foundation in existence for 9 months. Thus far this year, we have donated, due to the generous sales of everybody, $80,000 to these organizations, and we are on track for another $20,000, so that'll bring us to our goal of $100,000. And we so much appreciate everybody's support in helping us do that. And at the bottom of the slide, I wanted to include a quote. Many of you have heard it. I heard it so many times growing up, it didn't mean all that much to me. But I'm telling you now, when I sit here and really listen to this and grasp what it's about, it's the quote from Tremendous Jones, and it says, "You will be the same person in 5 years as you are today, except for 2 things: the people you meet and the books you read." And I cannot think of anything more important, and a lot of us as leaders want to think about, where do we go, where do we take it, or when we're unhappy with the way something is going in our lives or in our business. Well, if you really look and evaluate who you have coming into your life, and you look at what you're reading, if those things are stagnant, you really cannot expect there to be a change in things. So that's a great thing. And what we're talking about here is books that can influence you and change your life. Okay. On to the next slide. Our goal, you saw our vision statement, but our goal is to change the world one book at a time. And right now on this webinar, we're interested in sharing with you different tools that you can change your business one book at a time. And basically, why are we having this webinar? Times are tough, budgets are tight. Everywhere we hear that great leaders are a dying breed. The great bosses are getting fewer and harder to find. So are employees. But Napoleon Hill would say that is absolutely great. These times that are so tough and dark, that's great, because Napoleon Hill says, every adversity, every failure, every heartache carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit. So what better time than today? So today we're going to talk about one of the many ways that we can plant the seeds of a great harvest in our organizations, in our hearts, and in the minds of our employees through reading great books. And looking back, you've heard a little bit about my history. You know, the question really for business leaders and managers is, how do we learn to become really adept and good business leaders? I was in the military. Probably some of you on the line were too. We received not only technical training, but leadership training at various stages throughout our career. If you're from large corporations, perhaps you had a course in managing people, or I've worked for companies that paid for different people to come in, or we had 40 hours of training on the books, or perhaps you're fortunate enough to have found a mentor and become a mentee, and that can also really be of absolutely tremendous value to you. But did you know, in the absence of all of that, in the absence of being in the military, in the absence of having a company that invests lesson this for you. In the absence of finding a mentee or a mentor, did you know that books can be just as valuable as your favorite boss or a confidence course? And what's great is they are at your immediate disposal, and you can pick up something that can change your life for less than the price of a movie. So today we're going to look on the slide about really 3 main areas. And the first is why. Why should I read? Things that we hear from folks, things that I've heard from myself. I'm busy. I have to read so much stuff for work. I don't have time to read this other stuff. I'm taking courses after work. I can remember going to school and going to school at night after a full day of work. I've got kids to deal with. The schedule's too full. And some people flat out just do not like to read. So we're going to talk about a few ways to really talk about the importance of the intention and the purposefulness of reading. Second of all, we're going to talk about how to read. And you kind of sit there and say, well, what do you mean? There's a how. I graduated from middle school. I know how to read. Are you talking about speed reading, backwards reading, reading on the toilet? And no, I'm going to talk about an attention to reading to ensure that you really get the maximum results out of a sharp focus. Lastly, we're going to talk about what to read. There are 200,000 books that come out every year. Which do you pick? There's so much good stuff. How much do I read? You know, how do I? It's like my 401k. Can I play catch up if I'm just starting? If I'm 50 years old and I'm just getting started, do I play catch up? Really, what should I focus on? And again, we're just going to share some ideas with you about some really quick, powerful things that you can get to kind of whet that appetite and develop the skill set for reading. And the bottom line down here, a quote from Dad again, is leaders are readers. And that is the bottom line. And I know some people may sit there and say, well, I'm in charge and I don't read. Okay, that may be true, but you really got to look at yourself and see if you are occupying a position or if you really are a leader, because a leader will be a reader. All right. So first of all, again, we start with the why should we read? And basically, we don't have a choice for the group, especially that's business owners and managers and entrepreneurs. It is our job to consistently get better and smarter. And the basis of the discovery of learning is something that has to be part of our daily routine. And if we are not consistently growing and learning, probably our businesses are not going to make it. You look at why marriages or churches fail. And they fail because they get stale and they stop trying to learn and discover and grow together. It's the same thing with businesses. Why should we read books? Basically, because they can unlock the secrets of the greatest minds of all history. They're constant. They're always there for you. They can make you laugh. They can make you cry. They can give you insights, wisdom, and assist you in making some of the most critical decisions in your life. So one of the best reasons I have found throughout the years to read is companionship. Those of you that are at the top, you've heard the phrase, it's lonely at the top. You always thought, is it true? And then when you get there, you realize it is lonely at the top. You are no longer one of the boys or one of the girls. You're no longer one of the masses sitting there saying, oh, if I was in management, I could do so much better. You're it. And that puts you in a very special yet singular class. So reading what others have gone through before you can really, really be an encouragement. When you read about the business leaders that have gone through the heartache or the betrayal or the failure, I'm not just talking about the good stuff. The good stuff is easy to absorb, but the real, even the depression, the tiredness, the fatigue, and you read about how they went through it and how these men and women conquered and learned through it, that is some of the best companionship that you can get of all to help you learn of it. There's a quote James Baldwin says, and he says, you think your pain and your heartache are unprecedented in the history of the world, but then you read. It was books that taught me that the things that tormented me the most were the very things that connected me with all the people who were alive or who had ever been alive. And I would say, you know, there's many times as a leader, as a manager, I know there's many times my father did too, where you sit in your office and you think your heart's going to break. And you turn to a book and you realize you are in the path that other greats before have gone through, and it is such a sense of companionship. It also helps you see the good in everything. When I read these books, I know, even though it looks like this right now, I have to have faith that that there is going to be good in there, even if I cannot see it. The second reason why managers really have to read is that it helps them grow. You know, you've heard studies throughout the year that